Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's podcast episode of Under the Hood of Branding with GoSME. So we are here to discover how, every aspect of a business, not just the sales, is important to building your brand for investments or, for growing your business. And, we're very fortunate today to be joined by Matt Helfrich from Link Strategic Partners. So Matt is the Senior Projects Manager and the UK branch manager for Link Strategic Partners. And Link Strategic Partners is a communications and social impact consultancy that helps clients engage their stakeholders through real, authentic engagement and transform their challenges into opportunities through hyper-local strategies. But I think it's best that you hear it from Matt himself, who actually works there. So tell me a bit more about, yourself and how you started working in Link.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. So I've been at Link now going on 10 years, which is crazy. So in a past life, I taught high school, or what you would say in the UK, college, English and drama. I loved teaching. I went back to graduate school myself and studied film and media. And then after that, I was looking for a position that kind of combined my love for working with young people, telling stories, and using different forms of media to do that. And Link at the time was a great opportunity for that. So I started writing and researching for them. We worked with clients. At that time, I was in the US still. We had clients across the sectors of higher ed, which I did a lot of work in, public health, government, charities, and nonprofits. And that's where I started. And about a year and a half in, I realized that I really wanted more client interactions. I think a lot of the work I was doing was like behind the scenes. So a client would come and they would want a media strategy or branding strategy, and I would do the writing, but I wasn't really delivering that face to face with the client. So I asked for some more like project management experience. Started doing that in 2018. And then I had a really cool opportunity, which was to go to Paris to finish my graduate school thesis, but also in addition to that, work for Link abroad. Did that for a year. And we realized that, there was an untapped market. Michael Aiken, the founder of the firm and president today, he was coming over to the UK at least once a year for various higher ed conferences. This was before the pandemic. So people, I think, really wanted to work with us. He was developing really a lot of great relationships in the UK, but people didn't know, I guess, how to partner with us because Teams was not really being used. It wasn't a part of the daily rhythm like it is today, or Zoom or those things. So we thought about opening a branch office here to kind of do work on the ground that he had spent years laying the groundwork for. I was already in Paris. I was wrapping up my time there. I had fallen in love with living in this part of the world. I loved everything about Britain. I've been a huge Anglophile since I was very small. So I threw my hat in the ring to come to the UK and open that branch. And we've been here. I just hit 6 years being here.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, I hope your perception of UK hasn't changed after coming here.
No, I don't know if I'll ever get used to the weather.
The weather is not the greatest.
But I've been told by a lot of British folks that you're not really British until you daily complain about the weather.
Yeah.
So I think, I think I belong.
You're
I fit
basically
here.
British at this point.
Yes.
And, I like what you said about how, Matt came in and he set up his grass. And this is you coming here is on the grassroots and the communities that Michael has set up as well. And, it shows you the power of community and how these just showing up, being a bit more physical, coming down. It's really important, and being authentic is what you say. And today in this day and age, we were literally talking about this right before the podcast.
Yeah.
You got all these Gen Alphas and my generation, to be fair, we're all chronically online. And so the businesses and with the economy as well has all moved online as well.
Yes, it's changed so much since I started at the firm.
Exactly. And, everything now is on social media. You gotta have an online presence, and um, now with AI as well, it's adding another layer,
New frontier.
new frontier. So the point I'm trying to make is that I think now more than ever, just being a bit more human, showing a bit more engagement and communities, it's now important more so than ever.
Yeah.
So speaking of this, right, do you have any examples you can tell everyone here about how you have like sort of shown this authentic engagement with Link?
Yeah, our campaigns, sometimes clients have some money to put behind social media campaigns, and we run ads through Google, Meta, etc. But some of our clients don't really have that type of budget. So our job is to use social media. I think how it was really started, which was the idea of connecting person to person, right? Michael always says, people follow people, they don't follow brands.
Yeah.
So I think a big part of what we do is trying to help our clients to just, sound human, to sound authentic through their social media. One of my favorite examples of this is actually one of our very first clients in the UK. So, like I said, I came to Manchester end of 2019. We set up the branch, and then March 2020, we all know what happened. So one of our first clients coming out of the pandemic was a local charity here called Queer Family Tea. Queer Family Tea is, at that time, they met weekly, and it was a pay what you can meal for anyone in the LGBTQ plus space, as well as allies. But it also signposted people to a lot of other services. So for, LGBTQ people who had come to the city and are looking for work, there was signposting for that. For people who needed, clothes for interviews, there was a clothing swap. There was free hair cutting once a month. So there was a lot of other services in this once a week meal that we all shared together. So during the pandemic, obviously, people weren't able to meet in person. And for a lot of people, they counted on that every week, whether it was their socialization for the week, whether it was getting signposted to these services, etc. So in the end of 2021, the group that kind of runs the charity wanted to do a relaunch event to get people back in person and to get them feeling comfortable being in person. They'd gotten a lot of messages during the pandemic over social media about how they needed this space, and how people, for their mental health, their mental well-being, were really missing it and wanted to come back together. But they also were afraid, it had been so long since they'd had an in-person engagement, who would show up. And so anyway, they came to us and said, we want to do this event. We want to scale it. Our goal is 100 people to come. They used Victoria Baths, which is, if you all haven't been there, it's a beautiful space. It's a very historic space. It wasn't one of their normal meeting spaces. So they wanted to make sure that people knew how to access it, and that people would actually show up. So their goal was 100. We got funding to feed 100 people. People could make a donation, but that was funded. We also wanted to make it kind of a cabaret night. A lot of the people who came each week were involved in the arts in some way, shape, or form. So anybody who wanted to perform, whether it was spoken word, dance, song, etc., could do that. So anyway, the goal was 100 people. Link worked with Queer Family Tea on getting the story out to the media, on doing, again, organic, authentic social media that looks like it was put out by people, not AI, not a big brand. We budgeted for 100 people. We had over 300 people show up that night. So we were literally running out of food. I remember people going around the corner to Tesco, getting groceries, coming back and trying to make things as people were coming in. It was rainy. I remember there was people around the corner waiting to get in, but people so wanted that authentic connection and to reconnect with people that they waited in the rain. And it was just a beautiful night. And it showed, again, that charity, we had no money behind that campaign, right? we pitched the stories to the media. We got 4 media stories. And then a lot of it, again, was just social media and using the right hashtags that things were trending, people were sharing the posts, etc.
No, I love that. And you can see the power of being like, of communities and just being a bit more engaging.
Yeah.
Like not just relying on just blindly throwing money at like ads and stuff.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people say like, oh, it's like all fanciful stuff. Were you communist? Like, or you're communist, like you think in a fanciful world, but no, like you can see like it actually works. And you're doing it for a charitable cause, right?
Yeah.
But for the more business minded or like the ROI like chasers, if you apply this same concept to a for-profit business, you can see you brought from 100 to 300 people, right? So it's gonna be
One of the things we were talking about before we started recording was this idea of, ideas, things that you learn in one sector can be applied, right? So before I worked at Link, I worked in higher ed. I worked in high school at K-12 education. I worked for a charity. But a lot of what I learned as far as engaging with people, you can apply to any business as well.
Oh, 100%. Right? Yeah. Having some cross-sector discipline and like, learning from other people, not just even your sector, but from others. Is what will make you stand out and be unique and propel you forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we had some email exchanges before, and I talked to you about this Alvin Toffler's prosumerism. It's a very fanciful thing, but it's quite interesting. So, for those at home who don't know what it is, it's basically Alvin Toffler. He was this futurist back in the 1980s. So he the best job in the world because all he did was sell his ass and predict the future.
I love it.
Which I want that job.
I was gonna say I want that. Yeah.
And but one of the things he predicted was this thing called prosumerism, where basically he saw how the rise in digital technology was gonna change how people run their business from just being consumers to also being producers. So you combine the two is prosumer. And now I think he was right because you can see with platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, where content creators are also part of the people that make the business itself. Where we're sat right now in Colony, it's a co-working space.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space.
So like these really are cool. These are all prosumer models in that sense. But the examples I've given, they're all like pretty fairly big companies. So do you think that this concept can also apply for SMEs as well? And do you think it's worth for them to adopt this?
Yes, for sure. And, like I was saying before, people follow people. They don't follow brands. So I think whether, you're a medium or large size company or you're a one-person band, as we say, it's all about being authentic, right? And I don't think you need a lot of money to do that. Some of the best campaigns that you'll see online started with somebody being really authentic, true to themselves, and then using a hashtag that started trending as people were sharing it. They were talking about it. So when we work with a brand, we'll talk to them about, do they have an ad budget? And sometimes they do. Sometimes it's very small. Sometimes they don't at all. But the idea is to be authentic, to be true to yourself. I think that's where a lot of these brands are breaking through. As you mentioned, when I think about, content creators on TikTok, on YouTube, etc., I think so many that break through are because they seem real. They seem authentic. They seem like the people that you'd want to sit and have a chat with. It's funny to me, like the rise in podcasts in general, because a lot of it is just people talking, right? They're people like what we're doing. We're talking, but if it doesn't feel scripted, if it's real, authentic dialogue, I think that people are craving that.
Yeah, if I just want to watch someone talk with a script, like I just watch like two robots talk to each other, like AI and stuff.
Well, and you know what? Like I studied film. Like there's. obviously there's such a place for like scripted content, right? But sometimes, you know, your brain wants to learn something and you don't want to feel, like it's performative, right? And I think that that's what like the difference is, right? So I think that we work with a lot of brands to tell their authentic story. Why did they get started? Who were they trying to serve? And, you know, people know that. It's just sometimes helping pull that out of them.
So, I mean, I think what you're saying is that it's really powerful, the emotional aspect. The emotional aspect.
You can't tell. I'm very, emotional.
But, you know, a lot of people overlook it. Like, yes, you know, there are practical benefits, like tangible benefits to this prosumerism. So I think one thing I can think of is that if, let's say, your customers are your producers, it cuts down your R&D costs, especially if you're an SME. You don't have a lot of money to play around with because these customers are basically doing your product testing for you in that sense, right? So you have a free like market test focus group already to work with. But, you know, there's also the emotional aspect, which you can't just disregard because this is also very important to your brand. So things like what you say, like be authentic, you engage more with your customers. Your customers feel like if their customers have played a part and, you know, in building your brand, and they feel like they are actual stakeholders in your brand. Like, so like they will naturally themselves will also want to promote your brand. So, you know, I was reading and I saw this thing by Brewdog. Have you heard of Brewdog, right? They got pubs everywhere.
They're everywhere.
The breweries, And how they started out is they're a Scottish craft beer company.
I didn't know they were Scottish.
They're Scottish, I didn't know that either, but I read about it. And it was really interesting because what they did was how they got a lot of investments is that instead of going to like one big investor, one big shark, what they did was that they turned all their consumers, their customers into investors. So it's not like crowdfunding, right? But then the people felt like they have a stake in the business because if it does well, my investments go up. So
I love that.
So they started like, so they saved so much money on ads and revenue because now their customers will actively go and promote their beer for them. You know, and that's how they came to the franchise they are today. Same with GoPro as well. So they started out back in 2000. So when I still remember they were like really small company, like basically a startup at that point. And not a lot of budget to play around with. So they couldn't be spending money on like very expensive TV ads. Back then we didn't really have a lot of internet. So it's mostly TV ads, billboards and posters. So they couldn't afford that. So
it feels like Stone Age now, doesn't it?
Literally. We did have YouTube though. So what they did was that they basically use the videos that their customers had as their marketing material. So they saved a lot of cost in like producing it. And it felt very authentic because it's as if the customer is like, I would trust the video from the customer rather than some fabricated video from the company itself. And you know, I remember I bought a GoPro when I was young because I got really excited seeing all those like skateboarding ads, skateboarders like on.
Were you into skateboarding?
I was a little bit. I had a little tech deck and everything.
I was too scared. I don't know. Like, the idea of falling.
Oh no, I couldn't skateboard, but I just liked the concept. Like watching it. There was like Hall of Meat and everything. I loved it. But
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk.
Hawk.
But like you said, I sucked at it. I have no balance. I have no muscle control whatsoever.
I respect the people that do it so much.
It's so, and I see like the injuries. Oh man, I couldn't myself. But like that's what got me excited about getting a GoPro, and I bought one and I used it for like my cycling, gym, and like I used to play frisbee as well, so I like film my matches.
Wait, ultimate
frisbee.
I love ultimate. When I was in grad school, there was an ultimate club that I would go to sometimes. I missed the ultimate.
Man, I missed it too. But so be authentic. It's powerful. Don't overlook the emotion.
Like, we share that with people all the time. Like you were saying, I think that happy customers, happy clients or stakeholders can be your best marketing, right? So encouraging people to post, giving them a hashtag, posting with clients, doing like a joint post.
Yeah.
If you're doing in-person things, having things that people can pose with always helps, right? Or like telling them like what the campaign is, or use social media to solicit ideas about what people want as well, you know? And we always tell people, if you have an unhappy client, you know, we'll all see on a social media page, somebody will post something, you know, negative or say, oh, you know, you're posting all this great content. When I worked with you, this happened or that happened. Instead of quickly taking it down, I always say to people, respond to them in the comments section so it shows that you're not trying to just brush something under the rug. And if somebody did have a bad experience, like you're going to deal with it and make sure that the next one is better, but that people feel listened to, right? I think the big thing with social media is right now, you know, anybody can say whatever they want. And I think oftentimes our impulse is, well, let's just get rid of it. Let's just delete it. But it's like, no, actually you can, by, you know, being authentic and showing you're authentic, you're actually engaging with them in real time.
Well, I mean, what we talked about is, however, is still very considered unconventional in a sense. I think the conventional way for most SMEs to do it and businesses, they follow the big businesses, which is buy a lot of big ads. Now we've got SEO and we've got Google ads. And they think like they should just buy their way through as well, like the traditional means. Do you agree like this is what they should do, or they should?
I mean, if they have a budget, great. If everybody has a like Coca-Cola budget, then great, do that. But most of us don't have that, right? So it's being really strategic in how you're using your budget if you have one. You know, you can get really targeted now with ads, whether it's Google, Meta, etc., where you can get really targeted in specific demographics that you're trying to reach in a population or area that you're trying to reach. And you can put, you know, even $25 behind a campaign and you might reach a few thousand people, versus doing a really large campaign where maybe your reach is 10 or 20 times that, but it's to like a general population where most aren't maybe, you know, needing your service, right? We always talk to people about quality over quantity, right? Are you trying to reach a really broad audience because your product or offering is for everyone? If so, you know, that's where the like, you know, Coca-Cola analogy comes in, right? If you're just trying to reach, like you were talking about GoPro. So at that time, who was most likely to buy a GoPro and use it? Probably people around your age,
active teenagers,
right? Active teenagers. So why are you, you know, trying to put together a campaign for, you know, everybody from 4 to 100, right? Focus on your target audience.
And exactly. And I think right now we face two extremes of SMEs, right? So the first is that those who completely disregard like SEO, ads and all. Because I'm not saying like they're not important. They are important, right? And especially now in today's digital age, if you don't use them at all, it's like you basically don't have a shop front. Like you're completely invisible. But then there's the other extreme who over-focus and over-commit to it as well. And they forget the power of engagement and being authentic and forming your communities. And I think the perfect way is to sort of like blend those two together. So it's sort of like an onion where you have your core business and then you have, you know, a circle of authentic engagement,
I like that.
your community, right? And then those will help use social media and SEO to help spread your word further out into the third ring and the fourth ring and then the fifth ring. And that's how your business slowly grows, you know?
And I think I mean, I agree with all of that. I think that we spend a lot of time at the front end making sure that the strategy of the messaging is right, that the messaging is clear, that whatever the graphics or video that accompanying it is going to resonate with who you're trying to resonate with. Again, that it feels authentic to them. People don't like being sold to, right? We were talking just before about certain ads that you see that just keep popping up and you get so tired of it, right? So I think the idea is for the ad to not feel like it's selling to somebody, which is hard, but that's, why you bring in a consultant sometimes is to take kind of an eagle-eyed view of who you're trying to reach, what you've done in the past, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and really get the messaging right before you start pushing it out into the market.
I like another thing you said as well. So it's about being targeted and being strategic. Because,
exactly.
It's not just about saving costs as well. Because, in today's day and age, we've got the World Wide Web. So your customers are going to be able to say whatever they want to say about your business, whether good or bad, right? And that's why you have to be, I think it's also really important to be targeted in your customer segments, because whether they like it or not, you have to accept the fact that they form now part of your brand identity. They are very important stakeholders in your brand, and they form the brand image that people are going to perceive. People who don't know your brand are going to perceive you as. Yeah. So, like, for example, Gymshark. Have you heard of Gymshark?
Of course. I feel like you can't live in this country without seeing
Gymshark. They're huge in the north as well. Yeah. Like, people perceive Gymshark as the gym bro brand because all the gym bros buy from Gymshark, right? I don't really see like football athletes or, I'm sure there's one or two football athletes buy from like Gymshark, but I don't really see them. Like swimmers don't buy from Gymshark. I see gym bros buy from Gymshark. So that's how I perceive the brand.
That's really interesting,
So being targeted, and this is what Gymshark was trying to do, so it works, right? So you got to be targeted, not just to save costs, but also to make sure that you have control, some measure of control over your brand message, but you don't want to be overly controlling and like say, no, I don't want to work with my customers at all. I'm going to prescribe you. I'm going to sell.
Yeah,
then
it becomes
inauthentic.
Yeah.
So that's why being targeted,
100% agree.
Being targeted helps you marry the two in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's time to wrap up the podcast. And let's end off on one advice for SMEs. So what's one actionable step, you think a founder can take today to sort of strengthen the community, even if they're SME, even if they're small?
I think, using the power, like you said, of social channels, I think that LinkedIn, it can be really powerful if you are putting out kind of thought leadership pieces of what you've learned, from your stakeholders. And for some people, getting started at writing on LinkedIn, they're like either daunted by that task or they're just thinking, where do I find the time, right? So maybe get started with following other thought leaders in your sector or sphere and sharing things on your social that really resonate with you and that resonate with your brand, and then start, writing your own pieces after that. But we always talk to, people we work with about how are you creating a thought leadership space that people believe you and believe that you're an expert in what you do. So that, it takes time, but it doesn't necessarily take any money. Right. And I think a lot of what we talk to about with people, especially if they're starting out building a brand, if they're a 1 or 2 person band, is what can you do that might take a little bit of time, but isn't going to take any money, but that will then pay dividends down the road.
Absolutely. And something I'm doing as well, when I first started like GoSME, I hated using LinkedIn. I myself, I'm not a really big like poster on social media, but I force myself to write one piece because I need to make myself known. I gotta have a presence and like engage. And I think I like what you said as well. Like if you can't be bothered, like share someone else's work, because at least you're like engaging him as well.
Exactly.
And that slowly builds up as well. So I like now we have some gurus in our GoSME community. I like sharing their thoughts because it makes them feel as if they are also part of the community too.
Yes.
And then they will be encouraged to write more, which takes some work off me as well.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't need to be that you're pumping out long posts every week, right? It can be that you're putting a thoughtful response to a leader or to a company or brand that resonates with your mission and vision.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us today. Yeah. Thank you all for sticking around to the end. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe. Check out Link Strategic Partners. Their website will be in the link below, in the description below. And check out GoSME as well. So take care. Bye.